Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and open the room. Good morning to those who I just let into the Zoom room. We will get started in 15 minutes, but we wanted to go ahead and let people in so that they could test connections. We will be using polling today to vote, and we'll do a test poll before the meeting actually starts, just so everybody has at least one chance to practice. So stay tuned for that. We don't have anything for you until then. That'll be about 5 till we'll do that test poll. Thanks again for being here. If you just joined us, just a little short update. We'll do a test poll. We'll be using polls today to vote. I'll do that in about 4 minutes. So just hang tight. Glad to have you here. Appreciate just coming a little bit early to make sure everything's working. Good morning, everybody. If you've made it this far, we're in business. There's a couple of people I heard from who have not gotten into the room yet, so hopefully I'm not jumping away too much to try to assist them. But I think it is about time for us to launch our test poll for those of you who just want to check to make sure you kind of have an idea of how that will work. It shouldn't be too complicated. This will be like how we do it later in the meeting. Later, Jack will announce a vote, and then you'll see this poll pop up, and you'll have the chance to click in. I'll leave it running for a moment, a couple minutes probably, depending on what we see as activity for that. So this will be a practice vote that pops up on your screen. So let's see if I can do that correctly. I'm going to click launch in just 1 second, and you can vote. The mountains is really, really coming ahead. You shouldn't be surprised. We'll leave that up for just another moment.
Dan, can you say
yes,
something? Are you talking?
I am talking, Kirsten. Let's talk in the chat. Robin. Just was checking that Robin can hear me. That's great. Kirsten, I'm going to type into chat to you. Okay, looks like people who were going to vote voted. I'll end the poll. And I won't share the results this way later, but I will for this time because I know you all are just dying to know what the results were. It was 52% mountains, just so you know. So very scientific polling in Kansas. Apparently, we like the idea of going to the mountains. Not a surprise. And we'll stop sharing. So thank you for participating in that practice poll.
None for urban. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, nobody wants to go to the big city for vacation. Interesting. I can't vote because I'm a host, but I probably would have gone with the cruise myself.
Kirsten, I see you're back. Hopefully you can hear this time.
Embarrassing.
Yes,
I had my headphones plugged in.
that's okay. I did the same thing on music night the other night. And my friends who I play music with made fun of me mercilessly.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry about that.
We
No
will
problem.
not make fun of you mercilessly, Kirsten. We just save that for Dan.
That's right. I'll be the whipping post. Okay. People are pretty much in. 47 participants.
Well, it is 10 o'clock and it looks like we have a quorum, so let's call the revenue neutral rate hearing to order. Before we proceed, I want to remind those in attendance who wish to make public comment that you must register for the Zoom meeting or be present at the NEKLS location. Registering on Zoom may be accomplished by visiting the NEKLS website, clicking on the blog post for this annual meeting, and following the instructions for system board representatives to register via Zoom. Now we'll have a presentation of the 2026 proposed budget in relation to the revenue neutral rate from Mike.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. I'd like to begin with a brief overview of the revenue neutral rate process. The revenue neutral rate means the mill levy rate necessary for the 2026 budget year to generate the same amount of ad valorem tax dollars collected for the 2025 budget year. Kansas statute prescribes notice and public hearing requirements if the proposed budget will exceed the property tax levies R&R. By June 15th, the Douglas County Clerk must notify NEKLS of the revenue neutral rate for the next budget year, which they did. And then NEKLS notified Douglas County and the county clerks in the other 10 taxing counties of NEKLS' intention to exceed the R&R. Subsequently, county clerks mailed a notice of estimated ad valorem property taxes to property owners. In addition, NEKLS published a notice of hearing in the official newspaper of the 11 taxing counties. And the R&R hearing may be conducted in conjunction with the budget hearing, but the R&R hearing must occur first and prior to adoption of the 2026 budget. Finally, the R&R hearing must be held not sooner than August 20th and no later than September 20th. I think it's important to note how the regional systems are funded. All Kansans in Northeast Kansas are taxed for library service. Member public libraries levy taxes from within their legal taxing area, whether that be a city, township, district, or county. And then NEKLS, as a special taxing district, collects an ad valorem tax and other taxes, such as motor vehicle, from those areas of the region not taxed by a local public library. NEKLS uses these funds to provide services, resources, and grants to its member libraries. The aim is for member libraries and NEKLS to effectively partner to ensure all Kansans in the 14 county service area enjoy access to strong library services. The proposed budget for 2026 exceeds the revenue neutral rate, and the proposed budget requires a mill levy increase of 0.076 mils. So let's take a closer look at how that math works. So to determine the revenue neutral rate for NEKLS, the county clerk takes the amount of ad valorem tax levied for the 2025 budget and divides that amount by the total estimated assessed valuation of NEKLS, of the NEKLS taxing area, as provided by the taxing counties in June of this year. These figures appear in the blue box on your screen. In order for NEKLS to receive the same amount of ad valorem tax dollars for the 2026 budget as it did for the 2025 budget, the mill levy rate would need to be 1.093. NEKLS has attempted to keep the mill levy rate flat over at least the last 9 years, and it has gradually decreased over that period. So this is the notice of hearing page from the proposed 2026 budget, and it provides a summary of the budget from a mill levy rate perspective. The 2025 budget year's tax rate is 1.134 mils, noted here in orange. The revenue neutral rate for the 2026 budget year is 1.093 mils, noted here in green. And then NEKLS proposes a tax rate of 1.210 mils, noted here in blue. So what does this mean for a residential property? A residential property with an appraised value of $300,000 would have an assessed value of $34,500. This 11.5% assessment rate is set by the state. And then the ad valorem tax for this property for the 2026 budget year would be $41.75. So this is computed by taking the assessed value, multiplying it by the mill levy rate of 1.210 mils and dividing by 1,000. If we use that same formula with the revenue neutral rate, we get $37.71. So this would mean a estimated increase in the ad valorem tax of $4.04 for the owner of this property. The proposed expenditures, which we will see in the budget hearing, are growing at 0.6%, which is less than 1%. The proposed tax will allow NEKLS to continue to help our member libraries serve their communities and the entire NEKLS region. It will also allow the system to wean itself from drawing on cash reserves, as we have done the last few years. And it will better position the system to face future challenges to revenue and increased expenses.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So do we have any guests present today wishing to provide public comment on NEKLS' intention to exceed the revenue neutral rate? There are none in the, oh, you do? Okay, great. Then, so thanks for your interest. Each guest shall have up to 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and city before sharing your remarks. We will begin with speakers in the meeting room with you, sir.
I don't have anything here on
okay.
paper like you got. I'm Mike. I live up there south of Winchester. And I was here a couple of years ago and I spoke to you about all this. Basically what I feel is the library's becoming or is obsolete because of the internet. I feel the usage of the library has probably gone downhill because of the internet. And what I would see is you guys doing to really help yourselves is starting to bow out, tax people even less, and incorporate yourself into the local United States school district. That would benefit the school. You don't have to move that because of me.
It was off, sorry.
Well, let's turn it back. It'd help the school district because I believe you folks have a person that's a librarian that has a master's degree. It would give them that. You wouldn't be paying a librarian at the school district because you'd have that person with that master's there. And it would just consolidate the situation further. You would have what is called a synergy that is so very rarely seen with publicly financed systems like this.
Are those your comments? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think they're just as good as everything you guys have said so far.
Thank you. Were there anyone on Zoom who wished to comment?
We'll give them one more second, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
Anybody speak up in chat or unmute yourself, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. This is Timothy Moran. I am the advisory board chairperson, I guess I am, for the Lansing City Library. And I don't know about the other band situation, but from our perspective, having public libraries tied to the school or to the school, I do not think is a good idea because school boards tend to have their own political agenda. And I do not think that those school boards should have a supervision over public libraries. Sometimes the public library needs to be truly issue neutral, where we have found in this area, at least, that the school board is becoming more of a political entity, and with them being tied to the school, the library now falls under the school board, whose political views may sway left and right. Whereas if we're neutral and avoiding the school board issues, we can truly be neutral and present a neutral informational center to the populace at large, and not just to the whims of the school board. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment?
I have a hand showing. Liz?
Yeah, hi, I'm Liz Cremens. I'm at Seaman High School in Topeka. I wanted to speak to the gentleman's comment about schools. We, as a school, have benefited greatly from being in NEKLS. We participate in interlibrary loan to statewide, which we would not be able to do and be able to afford had it not been for NEKLS being able to help out public schools with that ability. We have gotten multiple different times where NEKLS administration and help has come in to help weed and go through our libraries to make sure that they are the best that they can be. We've been able to go to conferences because of being a member. And so having them as an overarching entity and being a member is a fantastic thing for schools. So schools are involved, but they don't necessarily have to deal with all of our day-to-day activities.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to make a comment?
I don't see anything else through Zoom, Jack.
Okay, thanks, Dan. I would like to thank these individuals for their public comments. If any commenters wish to make a comment during the budget hearing, please remain in the Zoom room. If you do not wish to make public comment during the budget hearing, please leave the Zoom room now and visit the NEKLS website for the YouTube link to view the remainder of the hearing. Dan is going to put that link into the chat. And we will move on to consideration of Resolution 2025-7 to exceed the revenue neutral rate. The System Board needs to consider a resolution of its intent for the NEKLS budget to exceed the revenue neutral rate. System Board members will now consider Resolution 2025-7. Only System Board members will vote. This vote will be audited to verify eligibility. As a reminder, a record of voting will be made available and included in the municipal budget packet submitted to the state. And Mike will now read us the resolution.
Thank you. Yes, resolution number 2025-7, a resolution of the Northeast Kansas Library System of Lawrence, Kansas, regarding the governing body's intent to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. Whereas the revenue neutral rate for the Northeast Kansas Library System was calculated as 1.093 mils by the Douglas County Clerk. And whereas the budget proposed by the governing body of the Northeast Kansas Library System will require the levy of a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. And whereas the governing body held a hearing on September 8th, 2025, allowing all interested taxpayers desiring to be heard an opportunity to give oral testimony. And whereas the governing body of the Northeast Kansas Library System, having heard testimony, finds it necessary to exceed the revenue neutral rate. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Northeast Kansas Library System. The Northeast Kansas Library System shall levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate of 1.093 mils. This resolution shall take effect and be in force immediately upon its adoption and shall remain in effect until future action is taken by the governing body. Adopted this 8th day of September 2025 and signed by the governing body.
Thanks, Mike.
Next time I'll let more than 3 minutes.
Is there a motion to pass Resolution 2025-7, a resolution stating the governing body's intent to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate?
I so move.
And please state your name.
Kirsten Allen.
Thank you, Kirsten. Is there a second? And please state your name.
I second. It's Cindy Davis at Highland Community College.
Thank you, Cindy. So is there a discussion? Hearing none, System Board members attending via Zoom, a poll will now appear for your consideration. System Board members attending in person, please complete your blue paper ballot.
Oh, yeah, there's a folder.
Kirsten had a question in the chat.
Oh, Kirsten, what is your question?
I don't understand what we're supposed to do with the lake.
I'll clarify that, Kirsten. That link was shared to the live YouTube stream. That would be for people that were not voting for the rest of the day. So you stay
Okay,
right
sorry.
here, ma'am. Thank you.
Sorry.
And I believe the polling is done, so I'm just waiting for paper ballots, just so you all know.
Not on this one.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, it's okay.
I got the other ones.
Hearing that no one is having technical issues, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. We're still waiting for those paper ballots. In the vote to pass resolution 2025-7, we have 54 yes to 1 no.
Okay, thanks, Dan. That will conclude the revenue neutral rate hearing. Is there a motion and a second to close the revenue neutral rate hearing?
Here's an Allen, and I so moved.
So I believe Gordon moved and Kirsten seconded. So there's a motion and a second to close the revenue neutral rate hearing. System board members in favor, raise your hand or respond with an aye.
Aye.
Against,
Aye.
raise your hand. Or, thank you. Against, raise your hand or respond with a no. So the revenue neutral rate hearing is closed, and we will move on to the 2025 budget hearing. Is the YouTube streaming good?
It is.
Okay, thank you. And I will call that to order. Mike is going to walk us through the proposed 2026 budget. If any individuals wish to make public comment on the budget, please use the Zoom link that was sent to you when you registered and enter the room now. And well, we're not going to do public comment until Mike has presented the budget.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. Okay, so this budget supports the 2026 plan of service. NEKLS is a 14-county regional library system with 117 member libraries. And we strengthen libraries in our region through a variety of services, grants, and subsidies, including the items listed here on your screen. But let's take a little bit deeper dive into the budget. So this is an overview of the expenditure lines from the 2026 proposed budget. I'd like to touch on the blue arrows. An organization's people is a key expense, and staff recruitment and retention is important. The rate of inflation and cost of living was a consideration as we budgeted for wages. This budget supposes a 7% increase in the cost of benefits, which is largely health insurance, which is funded through the Employee Benefits Fund. The materials line includes the professional collection, which we have here at the NEKLS office and is available to librarians and trustees. And then it also includes spending that NEKLS does on the cloud library collection through the state library, and that's at $35,000. Printing includes printing costs and the lease of our copier, but it also includes marketing and public relations, which is something we've been ramping up. Contractual services includes Bywater Solutions support and hosting of the NEKLS catalog. It includes the Aspen Discovery Layer, Flipster, and Novelist, which are all tied to NEKLS, as well as E-rate filing assistance to our public libraries, architectural services support, and the outsourcing of processing the NEKLS payroll. Contractual courier, just like any other member library, NEKLS also has to pay to be on the courier, and so these fees cover that. Workshops, NEKLS sponsored workshops aim to address the educational needs of our members. Continuing education is a core service area for NEKLS. And then grants and subsidies from NEKLS are essential to our member libraries and represent about 42% of the total operating budget. These include continuing education grants, the library development grant, competitive grant programs, the courier subsidy, which, by the way, NEKLS subsidizes at a rate of about 80% of the actual cost to libraries. And this also includes antivirus and other computer software subsidies. So overall, the proposed budget for 2026 is a 0.6% increase from 2025, or less than 1%. So let's take a look at the municipal budget workbook. This is the general fund and really the meat of our budget. We project a cash carry forward of just over $695,000, noted here in gray. Our taxing counties provide tax estimates for the taxes noted here in blue, the largest of which would be motor vehicle tax. And then our other sources of revenue noted here in orange include state aid. So just as individual libraries receive aid from the state libraries, so do the regional library systems. We expect a decrease of about $58,000. E-rate federal funding we receive is federal funding we receive for our internet connection. Next fees, this is the fee that participating libraries pay to be in the NEKLS Library Consortium. Then we have some miscellaneous fees. And you'll note here that we propose with this budget to end the practice of making a transfer in from capital improvement to which in the past has allowed us to keep the ad valorem tax increase down. And then the total resources available, which is everything but the ad valorem tax, is here in green. So the purpose of this part of the workbook is to add up all of our other sources, all of our other resources, and then we'll look at expenditures here. And when we subtract the expenditures, when we subtract the other resources available from the total expenditures, we get the ad valorem tax necessary. So the expenditures grouped here are grouped broadly, right? So operating expense includes consulting, IT support, continuing education and trainings, as well as indirect subsidies such as state library e-content, Flipster, Novelist, etc. We grouped the grants and subsidies for libraries separately. And then capital expense would include hardware and software. State courier expense subsidy, we sort of parse that out separate from the other grants and subsidies. And so this $187,900 is what we would spend to subsidize courier for the member libraries. And so again, you add up those expenses, just over 3.3 million. When you subtract the other resources available, we get an ad valorem tax of 2,279,573. This is the employee benefits fund. I was able to squeeze all that onto one slide. So it's the same type thing. Resources available on the top half, total expenditures on the bottom half in red. When you subtract the resources available from the total expenditures, you get the ad valorem tax necessary for the employee benefits fund in green. NEKLS manages the statewide courier for the state. So this is the budget for the Kansas Library Express courier service. This is a non-taxing fund, but we do need to include it in the municipal budget. A statewide committee sets the courier budget, and NEKLS coordinates the courier service for the state. Revenues come from fees collected from participating libraries and a grant from the State Library of Kansas. Those are shown in red. And then the expenditures are grouped in blue. That would include the management contract fee because a portion of the courier coordinator salary is paid through this budget. It includes operating expenses. So when we need to buy more totes and more bags, to support the movement of materials, we are able to do that. Contractual courier, so NEKLS doesn't employ the courier drivers. We contract for that service with a vendor. And so these monies would include labor and fuel costs, which continue to rise. And then there's a cash reserve. And that's pretty much it for the courier. Last year, the courier operated at a cost of $1.03 per item shipped, which is certainly cheaper than other shipping options. And we moved a monthly average of 70,540 items. So a lot of resource sharing. As noted in the R&R hearing earlier, this is the notice of hearing page, and it summarizes the proposed mill levy rate and the revenue neutral rate. The proposed rate of 1.210 mils will generate the ad valorem tax that was listed on the that is listed on the budget certificate page, which is this page. And so the 1.210 mils will generate this $2,679,026. And then over here in blue, I just wanted to highlight the statutory authority to levy this tax. I didn't include the bottom portion of this page. The bottom portion, which is cut off, it just contains a table for the county clerk to record the final assessed valuations in November. And it has signature lines from our governing body.
All right, thanks, Mike. If any individuals wish to make public comment on the budget, please use the Zoom link that was sent to you when you registered and enter the room for public comment. Do we have any guests present today wishing to provide public comments on the proposed NEKLS budget? I'm going to give it 30 seconds for folks who may be getting in on Zoom.
Anyone on Zoom, Dan?
We don't seem to have any action here.
Okay.
Seeing as there is no call from guests to make public comment, we will close the budget hearing. Is there a motion and a second to close the budget hearing? Please state your name.
So moved. Ann Leaps.
Thanks, Ann. Is there a second?
I second it. This is Jenny.
Thanks, JB.
Ginny Sherman.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Ginny. Thank you, Ginny. There's a motion and a second to close the budget hearing. System board members in favor, raise your hand or respond with an aye.
Aye.
Against, raise your hand or respond with a no. That motion passes, so the budget hearing is closed, and we will move on to the 2025 annual meeting, which we will call to order. Are there any additions to the agenda? Sounds like there are none, so we will move on to introductions of the executive board. I invite the NEKLS executive board members to introduce themselves. I will call you by name, and if you would please unmute and introduce yourselves, including your county or your status as at-large representation. I'm going to start with folks in the room with Gordon.
Gordon Myers, Atchison County.
And Ann.
Ann Leaps, Douglas County.
And David.
David Tyler, Franklin County.
And Sarah.
Sarah Eccles, Johnson County.
And then on Zoom, we should have Beverly.
Beverly Sunderman, Brown County.
And Cindy.
Cindy Davis, Donovan County.
And Ginny.
Jenny Shermer, Jackson County.
And Jenny.
She's in the room.
Yeah. Jenny, we couldn't hear you if you introduced yourself. This is Jennifer Lloyd.
She represents Jackson.
Okay, she represents Jackson.
No, Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Jefferson.
This is Michael Spengler. I'm sitting in for Jenny Lloyd at Jefferson County.
Oh, thank you. And Ashley.
I'm Ashley Creek, Leavenworth County.
Different Ashley. And Kirsten.
This is Kirsten Allen with Miami County.
And Kate Haney.
Kate Haney, Nemaha County.
And JB.
She's not.
Oh, JB's not in the room. Okay, and Brenda.
I'm Brenda Haug, representing Shawnee County.
Okay, and Amber.
Amber Oshak, I am the academic at-large representative.
And Lori.
Lori Franklin, at-large member.
Is Sean in the room, Stacy? Okay, and I'm Jack Granith representing Wyandotte County. Okay, so the next three agenda items are action items and require a vote of the system board. As a reminder, a record of voting will be included in the minutes of today's events. So our first action item is approval of September 10th, 2024 assembly minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the September 10th, 2024 budget hearing and system board meeting? If there are none, is there a motion to approve the September 10th, 2024 budget hearing and system board meeting minutes? Please state your name.
Beverly Sunderman, I move to approve the September 10th, 2024 assembly minutes.
Thanks, Bev. Is there a second?
This is Rachel Hissong. I second that.
Thanks, Rachel. There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there a discussion? Hearing none, a poll will now appear for your consideration. System board members attending in person, please complete your lavender paper ballot. Do you have anything?
I do. Wait till she writes it down. So while we're waiting the results of the vote on approval of the minutes, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the NEKLS staff for all of their hard work this past year. When you strip away the grants and subsidies, NEKLS is a people organization. We provide consulting, training, workshops, and other programs and services that support library staff and trustees. To all library staff and trustees attending this meeting or listening on YouTube, certainly encourage you to reach out to any member of the NEKLS team if you need assistance. All you need to remember is nekls.org as your starting point, and you should be able to get in contact with anyone here. We're ready to assist you.
Thanks, Mike. We're just waiting on the vote.
All right, I'm ready to announce the results for that vote. It would be 55 yes, 0 no.
All right, so that motion passes. We will now consider the 2026 budget. That's our second action item. Mike.
Okay. Okay, so we ran through several pages of the municipal budget workbook, but ultimately this is the page that gets signed by our officers, and it shows the ad valorem tax proposed for the 2026 budget at $2,679,026. This would require a mill levy rate of 1.210 mils to generate this amount.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the 2026 system budget as proposed? Please state your name.
This is Gordon Myers. I would move that we approve the 2026 budget.
Thank you, Gordon. Is there a second?
This is Brad Allen. I would second.
Okay. I think we had a second, maybe first from David Tyler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, there is a motion and a second to approve the 2026 system budget as proposed. A poll will now appear for your consideration. System board members attending in person, please complete your green paper ballot. Make sure we're done all.
Getting her steps in today. She's getting her steps in. So while we wait for the results of the budget vote, I'd like to remind library staff and trustees that NEKLS offers a variety of continuing education opportunities throughout the year. In 2024, NEKLS delivered 14 major CE events, all provided at no cost to attendees. 2025 brings much of the same. These may be found at nekls.org under events off on the right-hand side of that homepage. In addition, our consultants can develop training to meet your individual library's needs, perhaps as part of an in-service day or a library board meeting. If you have a topic that you think would have broader appeal, I'd encourage you to contact Dan Alexander at the NEKLS office to discuss your ideas. He's always looking for ideas.
That's for sure. I also have the results for that last vote. It would be 54 yes and 0 no.
So that passes as well. So our last action item is the election of executive board representatives. You are now asked to complete a series of votes for executive board representatives. You will make one selection for each open seat. If you are voting on Zoom and wish to submit a write-in vote, please do so in the chat and provide the individual's name and the related board seat. System board members attending in person, please complete your salmon paper ballot.
So while we wait the results on this vote, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the system board for your participation in today's hearings and meeting. The materials are a lot to absorb, and I appreciate your careful consideration of each of the action items. If you have any questions or concerns stemming from something that you read or heard today, please contact me at the NEKLS office or email me directly at mike@nekls.org. I also want to acknowledge the NEKLS Executive Board. This group of 18 individuals representing each county and the 4 at-large seats meets monthly to govern the day-to-day operations of NEKLS. It is their thoughtful consideration of agenda items in preparation for monthly meetings, their strong committee work, and their support of the system plan, which is important and certainly appreciated by me and the rest of the staff here. If you are a guest listening on our YouTube channel, thank you for your interest. Please reach out if you have questions or concerns about NEKLS and how the regional system supports your library.
All right, I can read the results of that vote. The following individuals were elected to the NEKLS Executive Board: Cindy Davis, Donovan County; David Tyler, Franklin County; Jackie Slingsby, Leavenworth County; Laura Hunt Pellegrino, Wyandotte County; and Sarah Goodwin Teal, member at large.
Thanks, Dan. Now we'll have a regional system update from Mike.
Yeah, just a few things I wanted to touch on as we finish up 2025 and look to 2026. So in 2024, NEKLS conducted a survey of membership and held community conversations around the region. The information gleaned from those engagements has helped to inform development of a new strategic plan for the organization. This plan is still a draft at this point, but I expect we will have an approved plan to share with membership in early 2026. So stay tuned for that. We do anticipate the possible addition of 2 public libraries to NEKLS membership in the near future. So I wanted to give you an update on that. Supporters of the Perry-Lecompton Community Library, which is currently a volunteer-driven library and not a formal member of NEKLS, those supporters have been working hard to garner signatures on a petition that would result in an election in November. The question before the voters of the proposed district, and this is a district that would mirror USD 343, would be whether or not to form a district library. As a legally formed public library, this new library would be eligible for state grant and aid and could apply for membership in the regional system. So while formation of this district would adversely impact NEKLS tax revenue in future years, the budget that the system board passed today, I think, better positions the system to make adjustments to that potential loss of revenue in the future. The city of Edwardsville, by way of a simple city ordinance, has established a public library for Edwardsville that will function as a department of the city. We expect this library will also apply for admission to the system. Kind of at the higher level of government, the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee has recommended that the Institute of Museum and Library Services be funded, albeit at a slightly lesser amount than 2025. So that's really encouraging. We'll have to see what the House does with it. You may recall that in March of this year, the current administration ordered the dismantling of IMLS. So we'll need to stay tuned on that. A little closer to home, the next Kansas legislative session is set to begin on Monday, January 12th. A date for Legislative Day for libraries has not yet been set, but I understand that organizers are looking at the last week of January. So when we know about that, we'll push it out. I expect you would also see that pushed out on CanLibel. I think it's possible that we could see one or more bills addressing regional library systems. This fall, NEKLS will be working to share with legislators the work that NEKLS does in support of libraries in the region. But we may need you at the local library level to share with your local legislators what NEKLS does and means to your library and what your library means to its community. I mentioned as part of the budget summary that NEKLS provides continuing education grants. Staff and trustees of member libraries are eligible to apply for these. Don't let a lack of professional development budget prevent you from accessing a training or a learning experience that you think would benefit you and your library. So you can learn more about CE grants at nekls.org. And then speaking of CE, the Kansas Library Association Conference will be held in Manhattan, November 5th through 7th. Conference registration is now open at the Kansas Library Association website. Several NEKLS team members are presenting, and we will have a booth in the vendor hall, so be sure to stop by and say hello. NEKLS has two new faces. While some of you may have seen introductory posts on the NEKLS Facebook account, it is possible that others are unaware of these new team members. Nikki Hansen is catalog specialist and works primarily on the next catalog with George Williams. And then Sofia Diaz Gonzalez is our accounting manager, and she handles the financial aspects of the organization. And believe me, I am thrilled to have them on the team. The search for the accounting manager, that was a bit of a process. But again, we're thrilled to have both of them on board. And then finally, I'd like to say thank you to two of our executive board members whose terms of service end with this meeting. Our board president, Jack Graneth, and board secretary, Ashley Creek. Ashley's on the Zoom call. We so appreciate your years of service to NEKLS. And just from me, I really appreciate the time and counsel that you both offered. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
And that concludes the report.
Okay, thanks. We had no additions to the agenda. Is there any other business? If there is none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.